Join our family of creators. Your support means the world to us. Subscribe now to the Content Creator channel. Your support keeps us motivated and helps us bring you fresh, exciting content every week. Hit that subscribe button and be part of our journey. The Middle East stands on a knife's edge today, a region simmering with long-standing tensions and deep-seated rivalries. Decades of conflict, political instability, and proxy wars have brought it to this precarious moment. The delicate balance of power is threatening to collapse, and the consequences could be devastating. June 16, 2025, a date that may well be etched in the annals of history as the point of no return. After a weekend of fire and fury, the region is reeling from a series of escalating events. These events have fundamentally altered the conflict between Iran and Israel, pushing it into uncharted territory. The long-simmering animosity has finally boiled over, threatening to engulf the entire region. What was once a shadow war, fought in the shadows with proxies and covert operations, has exploded into direct, state-on-state military confrontation, a dangerous escalation that few predicted. The rules of engagement have changed and the stakes are higher than ever before. Over the past 4 days, a series of dramatic events have unfolded with alarming speed. Iran unleashed its largest ever direct assault on Israel, a brazen act of aggression that has sent shockwaves around the world. The assault involved launching a massive wave of ballistic missiles, a coordinated and sophisticated attack designed to overwhelm Israeli defenses, and explosive drones filling the skies with deadly projectiles. The skies over Tel Aviv and Haifa, major population centers, and Jerusalem, the holy city, have been streaked with interceptor missiles, desperately trying to defend against the incoming barrage, and air raid sirens have become a grim soundtrack for millions, forcing them to seek shelter from the relentless attacks. The scale of the Iranian attack was staggering, a testament to their growing military capabilities and their willingness to use them. It was clearly designed to overwhelm Israel's air defenses, pushing them to their absolute limit. While many projectiles were intercepted, thanks to Israel's sophisticated defense systems and the support of its allies, some broke through, causing death and destruction, and leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. This was a furious response, a calculated act of retaliation to Israeli preemptive strikes, which had targeted key Iranian assets. These strikes were aimed at crippling Iran's nuclear and missile programs, a move that Tehran saw as a direct threat to its national security. Now, with both sides having crossed significant red lines and with the specter of further escalation looming large, the world holds its breath, anxiously awaiting the next move. Israel has vowed that Iran's aggression will not go unanswered, promising a swift and decisive response. This sets the stage for a potential counter-response, a move that could trigger a full-blown regional war. That could plunge the region into catastrophic conflict, with devastating consequences for all involved. The shadow war is over. The era of deniability and proxy conflicts has come to an end. Direct confrontation has begun, and the region is now teetering on the brink of all-out war. The next steps taken by Israel, the decisions made in the coming hours and days, will be critical in determining the region's future, and whether it descends into further chaos, or finds a path towards stability. The world watches with bated breath, hoping for a de-escalation of tensions and a return to diplomacy. Iran's Operation True Promise was not just a retaliatory strike, but a meticulously planned and carefully orchestrated military assault of historic scale. It represented a significant escalation in the ongoing tensions in the Middle East. Over 4 days, Iran, leveraging its network of regional allies, launched a staggering barrage of more than 350 projectiles, including a formidable arsenal of over 150 ballistic missiles, designed to penetrate even the most advanced air defense systems. This was accompanied by a swarm of 100 advanced drones, all directed at Israel. The barrage was strategically designed to target major cities, critical infrastructure, and key military sites, aiming to overwhelm Israel's Iron Dome and other sophisticated air defenses through sheer volume and coordinated attacks. These attacks didn't originate solely from within Iran's borders, but also from the Houthis in Yemen, demonstrating a coordinated regional effort. Further solidifying this coordinated effort, attacks were also launched by militias in Iraq, showcasing Iran's ability to project power and coordinate multi-front capabilities across the region. While Israel's air defenses successfully intercepted the majority of these threats, the sheer volume of projectiles meant that some missiles managed to penetrate the defenses and strike their intended targets, creating widespread anxiety and disruption. This operation marked a significant shift in Iranian military doctrine, signaling a move away from traditional proxy warfare towards a more direct and confrontational approach. The operation's level of sophistication, characterized by the coordinated use of drone swarms and missile barrages launched from multiple directions simultaneously, served as a clear demonstration of Iran's growing military prowess and technological capabilities. The long-standing shadow war between Iran and Israel has effectively ended, and has been replaced by a direct and overt challenge to Israel's perceived military supremacy in the region, ushering in a new and potentially more volatile phase of the conflict. This dramatic escalation, a point of no return, was triggered. The region held its breath as the long-simmering tensions finally reached a boiling point. By Israel's Operation Rising Lion, a meticulously planned and daringly executed campaign. It was launched on June 13, marking a significant departure from previous strategies and signaling a new phase in the conflict. For years, Israel's covert war, a clandestine struggle fought in the shadows, targeted Iran's nuclear ambitions through sabotage, cyber warfare, and targeted assassinations of key personnel. These actions were designed to slow down, if not completely halt, Iran's progress. Operation Rising Lion marked a shift, a bold and aggressive move into overt action. Mossad operatives, with their unparalleled skill and daring, sabotaged Iranian missile sites, crippling their ability to launch attacks. This was followed swiftly by Israeli airstrikes on critical nuclear facilities and key military infrastructure, leaving a trail of destruction and sending a clear message of resolve. The goal, a clearly defined and strategically vital objective, was to cripple Iran's nuclear and missile programs for years to come, setting back their progress and diminishing their threat to the region. Israel's leadership, fully aware of the potential consequences, saw the risk of Iranian retaliation as outweighed by the existential threat of a nuclear-armed Iran, a scenario they deemed unacceptable at any cost. Tehran, facing devastating attacks that shook the very foundations of the regime, was compelled to respond forcefully, not only to inflict damage, but also to maintain credibility at home and with its network of proxies across the Middle East. Iran's massive retaliation, a barrage of missiles and drones, was framed as self-defense, a necessary response to unprovoked aggression. It was presented not just against military targets but as a demonstration of power intended to restore its status as a dominant regional power. This sequence, Israeli preemptive strikes, a calculated gamble, followed by Iranian retaliation, a display of force, has propelled both nations, seemingly inexorably, into a state of open warfare, a conflict with potentially catastrophic consequences. The shadow conflict, once confined to the realm of espionage and covert operations, is now a direct, dangerous confrontation, threatening to engulf the entire region. The human toll is mounting on both sides. In Israel, at least 24 people have been killed, and nearly 600 injured by Iranian strikes, with widespread destruction in major cities. In Iran, casualties from Israeli attacks are reported to be much higher, with hundreds killed and over 1,000 injured. Many claim to be civilians. Both sides accuse each other of targeting civilians and committing war crimes, fueling a bitter propaganda war. The destruction of homes, hospitals, and infrastructure has forced thousands to flee and left millions traumatized. Daily life is upended, schools closed, citizens sheltering, and cities on edge. The psychological scars, especially among children, will last long after the fighting stops. The tragic human cost underscores the failure of diplomacy and the dangers of military escalation. As the region teeters on the brink, Gulf Arab states like Oman and Qatar are scrambling to mediate between Iran, Israel, and the US. Their economies and security are at risk if the conflict widens, so they're relaying urgent messages in hopes of de-escalation. Iran, battered but defiant, signals willingness to negotiate if Israel halts its attacks. Israel, however, insists on dismantling Iran's nuclear and missile programs before stopping its campaign. This diplomatic deadlock leaves little room for compromise. The US, under President Trump, offers strong support for Israel and warns Iran against further escalation, while repositioning military assets in the region. Even minor damage to the US embassy in Tel Aviv has heightened tensions. Washington is trying to deter Iran without being drawn directly into war. Israel's next move may target Iran's most fortified nuclear site, the Fordow fuel enrichment plant. Buried deep under a mountain, Fordow is nearly impervious to conventional airstrikes. Destroying it would require either a risky commando raid or the use of America's massive ordnance penetrator, a weapon Israel doesn't possess. Reports suggest President Trump may have offered this option, which would draw the US directly into the conflict. The decision is fraught with peril. Failure could be disastrous. Success could trigger massive Iranian retaliation. Yet leaving Fordow intact risks allowing Iran to retain a nuclear pathway. Israel's war cabinet is debating these high-stakes options now. The outcome will shape the region's future. The Fordow dilemma is a defining moment in this crisis. Even as open warfare rages, Israel's shadow war continues through Mossad-led covert operations. Sabotage missions disrupt Iran's military logistics and missile production, sowing confusion and mistrust. Intelligence gathering inside Iran remains crucial for planning airstrikes and tracking nuclear developments. These clandestine efforts allow Israel to inflict damage without provoking massive retaliation. Meanwhile, the Israeli Air Force relentlessly targets Iran's missile launch sites and command centers to prevent another barrage. This integrated strategy, combining covert sabotage with overwhelming air power, keeps Iran off balance. The shadow war and air war are deeply intertwined, each amplifying the other's impact. In this modern conflict, spies and drones are as vital as fighter jets and bombs. The conflict has sent shockwaves through the global economy, especially in energy and aviation. Oil prices have surged on fears of disruption in the Strait of Hormuz, a vital choke point for global supply. Israeli strikes on Iranian energy infrastructure have amplified market anxieties. Airspace closures across the Middle East have grounded flights, rerouted global travel, and triggered emergency evacuations. Iran's economy, already battered by sanctions, faces further strain as residents flee and infrastructure is damaged. Israel's markets, meanwhile, have shown resilience, with investors betting on a decisive military outcome. The world is reminded how a regional conflict can have far-reaching global consequences. Governments and markets are bracing for more economic fallout if the conflict escalates. As the dust settles, the Middle East faces an uncertain future. The most dangerous path is further escalation, potentially triggered by an Israeli raid on Fordow, which could provoke all-out regional war. Alternatively, Gulf-led diplomacy might yield a fragile ceasefire if both sides can find a face-saving way to de-escalate. The U.S. role as pivotal direct attacks on American assets would almost certainly draw it into the conflict. For now, a tense stalemate seems most likely. Periodic airstrikes, covert operations, and limited retaliation, but no full-scale war. This managed conflict leaves the region in a state of high alert, with escalation always a miscalculation away. The coming days will reveal whether war, peace, or a fragile equilibrium prevails. The world watches, hoping for restraint. The next moves will shape the Middle East for years to come.